Why do many US boys get circumcised, despite not belonging to a circumcising faith or culture? A lot of it is, my father was, I am, so my son will be too. Circumcision is part of American culture though. It's usually not done as a religious commandment but because of cultural beliefs about hygiene or appearance. There was a big movement for it in the past because it was thought to discourage masturbation. Often it's still recommended, or at least not discouraged, by American pediatricians, who will cite things like a reduced risk of spreading STDs. A lot of cultural practices continue even when the original reason it was introduced are no longer widely applied to it. People look to find new reasons to support the existing practice instead. Still, circumcision is much less common in the US now than it used to be. 19th century pseudoscience claimed it would stop boys from masturbating. The question isn't stupid, but the answer is. I'm not circumcised and I've had zero issues health-wise. There are a lot of misconceptions about it. Had a teacher tell an entire class one was in that uncircumcised people are dirty. This was in 7th grade. It started sometime back in the late 1800s or early 1900s as a way to curb masturbation. It caught on, and became a massive racket, as it was sold on having many benefits. There is a quote, inside of every baby boy's foreskin, there is a $100 bill. You just have to cut it off to get it. Lots of naive and gullible poor people were sold on it. Cut fathers began doing it to their sons to look like them, and because it's just what we do. For a cut man to not cut his son, he must come to the realization that his penis is inferior, which is a tough pill to swallow. Plus, millions of American parents are in denial over circumcision being bad, as they can't believe that they hurt their infant. So instead of acknowledging it, they double down on the cutting propaganda and defend it. Fortunately though, circumcision rates in the US are going down. Slowly but surely. Hopefully someday, we can be like the other kids. The rest of the world that doesn't cut. Except for Jewish and Muslims. Some hospitals are very pushy about it. When my son was born they scheduled the procedure without asking me and just assumed it was going to happen. When I told them it wasn't happening, the nurses were very adamant that it was necessary and that if it wasn't done he would be ridiculed by women his entire life. They never cited a medical reason, only that his future sexual partners would tease him. I was circumcised for sound medical reasons. A birth defect called hypospadis. That's where the urethra is either absent or incomplete. The fix, back in the 50s, was plastic surgery involving taking the handy material of the foreskin and using it to create a new urethra. Pretty common, as I understand. Other than that, or religious reasons, seems to be entirely a matter of fashion. If enough people do something and it becomes really popular, it can become a cultural tradition. But it is a circumcising culture. I believe doctors in the US get paid to do this. It is male genital mutilation and should be banned unless medically necessary. Lack of respect for individual bodily autonomy, and an unwillingness to question outdated traditions. For what it's worth, I was cut at birth and wish I wasn't. https Beauty products are mycardio.com/uncovering the truth how foreskin is used in cosmetics and what you need to know / Parents are asked how they would like the tissue disposed of, donated. That's laughable. Parents consent that the facility will dispose of any tissue removed during any procedure, surgery. I've been present for many circumcisions and I wish all parents were forced to watch the procedure before they consent. It's awful. Circumcision makes a lot of people money. Plain and simple. And most parents would justify circumcising a newborn by basically saying, I want my kid's penis to look like other kids' penises, their dad's penis, which I've always thought is a really odd incentive. To remove a part of a child's body. But to each their own. You can be certain they won't pierce their daughter's ears until she is old enough to make that decision on her own. I have strong opinions on this topic, so I'll just stop there before I get any more fired up. To quote a famous milkman, tradition! Kellogg's. My 4 sons are not circumcised. I was. Despite not belonging to a circumcising faith or culture. Probably because they belong to a circumcising culture lol. America is a circumcision culture. Dunno. I left my boys intact. They can decide for themselves if they want to mutilate their dick so they don't have to clean it as vigorously. I wish someone gave me the option. Can't help but wonder if one of the first things that happened to me on this planet was having a tip of my dick cut off might have had some kind of effect on how I perceive this place. It's strictly culture. Despite having 0 benefits and only negatives, people will still do it to their infants. They will permanently stunt all feeling their son's genitalia, just because they can. Infant circumcision is literally child abuse. No other way to put it. If you're an adult and want to be circumcised, go for it. It's your body. Keep the scalpel away from the infants.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epicaricast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.